Hey, everybody. Happy New Year. This is our first show for the year. I had to think about that. I am Sarah. Welcome back. We have our first exciting show tonight.
Hey everybody, I am Tara, and just a couple reminders before we get into our guest intro. We've got this going live right now to Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And so if you've got any questions, please pop them in here for our guests. We want to make this as interactive as possible.
And I'm Amy, and we are proud to have Brooke Edmondson on today. She is a gal that we have known in our family for quite some time. We call her family, just saying. She became very instrumental in our life when she started to coach my two kids, my daughter and son, years ago through First Tee. And from that point, we got to know Coach Brooke at that time and just fell in love with her. She loves sports as we do. She's from Jacksonville, and she's really done a lot of instrumental things for our community and those communities that touch our community from a philanthropic standpoint. And I won't steal any thunder, Brooke. I will make sure to let you do that. But we're really glad to have you on today, and anxious to hear a little bit more depth around you and your story. And then, of course, the ladies and I will ask some questions. Our viewers will as well. And but bottom line, she has impacted so many different aspects of what she's done with her professional career, and can't wait to have her tell us a little bit more about that. Brooke, on to you, girl.
Well, thank you all for having me on today. I'm so excited, and absolutely love Amy's family. They're like family to me, as she said. So very blessed to have met them. Yeah, I don't even know how many years ago it was now, about 7, 8. I don't know. Time flies.
Yeah.
So yeah, background about me. So I born and raised in Jacksonville. I grew up in Mandarin and been here my entire life. I went to Mandarin High, Mandarin Middle, Loretto, all of the schools. I ended up going to like Amy said, love sports my whole life. So I ended up getting a college scholarship to play softball down in Melbourne, Florida, at Florida Institute of Technology, where I studied sports management. Again, continued with the sports trend. I knew, whatever I was doing in my life, I wanted to impact others. So originally thought I wanted to go for physical therapy, but that ended up not working out. But sports management was right up my alley. And I was like, this sounds like a really great career path for me. So went that route. Well, quickly learned about my junior year of college that I needed to find internships and wanted to kind of dive headfirst into the sports world and figure out what I liked and what I didn't like. So a cousin of mine had been a youth participant at the First Tee, which is a youth development nonprofit, for those of you that don't know what the First Tee is. And to be quite transparent and honest with you, I was like, I do not like golf. Like, it is boring, and I like fast, quick sports. So I was like, I don't know.
Win, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I knew nothing about it. I had just seen golf on TV, and I had gone to a couple of my cousins' golf tournaments before, and I was just like, I just don't know if I could do this as a job. But you know what? Like, I'm gonna try. And I had heard about what the First Tee did, and it's so much more than golf. So I was like, you know what? Let me give this a shot. So I ended up becoming, funny enough, their summer camp director as an intern my junior summer of college. And absolutely, I think once I hit the golf ball like solid one time, I was hooked. I was like, I've got the bug. Like, I'm doing this. So fell in love with the sport, even more so fell in love with what the First Tee meant to the kids in the program and the coaches and the staff that were there, and the families that I met that summer were just like, I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. So really sad. The director at the time was like, don't go to college, like just stay here and work with us. I was like, I need to graduate. Jokingly. So go back for my senior year. I came back home after I graduated, and they hired me full time as their events coordinator because they had liked the work that I did doing summer camps and the activities that I had planned and that kind of stuff with the kids. And then being one of the younger female coaches. So I took on my role was event coordinator and director of community engagement, I believe. And then I also took on the girls golf site director role at that time as well, because we did not have one. And I was one of the only like younger females that was coaching. And I was like, yes, like if I any opportunity to mentor young women, absolutely, like I want to do it. So needless to say, I was there for 7 years from my senior year of college.
Was it really?
Yeah, wow. 7 years. So when I left, I was the director of development. So I fell into the fundraising role, but was still managing all of their events. So I ran anywhere from 7 to 12 golf tournaments per year, and then their big gala fundraiser every year at TPC Sawgrass. Absolutely loved the event world, and like that's been my passion. I asked my friends growing up, like, guys, like, what am I good at? Like, I don't know, like career wise, like, what do you think I'm passionate about? And they're like, Brooke, you always are planning something. Like, you're hostess with the mostest. Like, you always have people at your house. You're always cooking dinner for people. Like, you'd be great at event planning. I'm like, actually, I never thought about that as a career path. So that then led me into, through my work at First Tee, met a gentleman who founded 904 Happy Hour. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's Instagram, basically local news media outlets. That is probably one of Jacksonville's largest digital influencers between our website, social media outlets. So met him, and I knew they were hiring a event person. Wasn't really sure what that looked like, but we happened to run into each other one night, and he was like, I'm looking for this person. I was like, I want to hear more about it, and went to lunch the next day, and here we are, hired me.
Ding, 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 ding. Right.
Yeah. So I then left First Tee, which was really sad. It was a very, very tough decision for me, because I absolutely loved what I was doing. And again, loved the kids, loved the family. At this point, like the kids that I had met when I started that were like 8 are now like graduating high school, and I'm going to graduations and all these things. I'm just like, I can't leave my babies. Like, there's a lot of tears. But I knew it was the right decision for me. And, going into more of just an event role was really special for me. And then also I have the opportunity so 904 has its own foundation, and a big part of the role was to grow the foundation side and give back to hundreds of other local nonprofits. So I was like, not only can I give back to the First Tee now, I can give back to every other nonprofit in the city through the work I'm doing. So that was really important to me, because again, back to that, like, whatever I'm doing, I want to impact the lives of others somehow. So took on that role. So I've been there a year and a half. I started in July of 22. Yeah, gosh, it's 2024 already. So I am the director of events and community outreach for 904 Happy Hour currently. So what I do on a day-to-day basis is plan very large scale festivals in the city. So our last one we did was at Met Park. That was actually
there you are, staff.
Yeah, so that was a crowd of about 10,000 people. So my events went from 600 being my largest to last year we did an event that was 30,000 people at Met Park.
This one?
That one. Yep.
There we go.
Amazing.
And my boss, Charles, who's the founder of 904, he started the company 12 years ago. And then David Murphy, great guy. Shout out to David if you ever are at, he's the manager at Casa Marina out of the Jax Beach. Mm-hmm. So if you're ever out there, go have an espresso martini at his bar. They're the best in the city. Yeah, that was during, I don't know if you guys know who the big boy from Outkast is.
Yeah.
That was right before he went on stage. So we consistently were told after that event that was one of the largest and most festival feel events that Jax has ever seen. So it was really, really incredible. It was 2 days long back in September. And we had Lupe Fiasco, Big Boy, Iration, Gym Class Heroes, a lot of local bands that were really incredible. We had over 100 different vendors, so local artists and makers. We had live muralists that were painting like 8 by 8 foot
Oh my
wall,
gosh.
like paint walls during the event so people could watch them put their art together. And then we had 45 local food trucks there doing tacos.
Gotta have
Brooke,
a
And
when you sorry.
hundreds of thousands of dollars in margaritas.
Right? Holy guacamole. When you plan something like that and the event's over, and of course we'll get more into those events, right?
Yeah.
What has been your biggest aha? Like afterwards, and you kind of just analyze everything that you put together, the work, the pain, the sweat and tears, things that may have not had to cancel, or you had to do a backup plan. What was
Mhm.
like your biggest event, your biggest aha, your biggest takeaway of kind of gratitude of something like that? I can't even muscle that. Like
Yeah.
what would that be?
Oh gosh. Well, I will say that the one that you just saw a picture from was the largest one that I've done to date, and hopefully this year's is bigger. But I think there was a couple moments during that festival specifically. So one, talk about like trials and tribulations. I got COVID the week before,
Oh,
and so I mean I was already working crazy hours and just like having to like there was no choice for me to not work. Like you have a major event coming up the next week, so I powered through. I was like, we're going to get this. We're going to get this done. I have to feel better. Like, I got to show up for my team. Like, we start loading in like 3 days. And then that hurricane hit the week of. So we were supposed to, and I was like, all right, God, this is, you're testing me. Again, we're going to get through this. We had a lot of people telling us, they're like, you're not going to set this up in time. Like, you have 2 days to load in it was supposed to be 5 days of load-in from our like tents, vendors, music, decor, everything was supposed to take 5 days, and we did it in 2. And so that was a moment of just like, all right, like, is this gonna even happen?
yeah.
And then a lot of things, like, as you know, like events, they never go 100% the way that they're going to go. Like, they never will. But
True.
that's where you have to learn to be flexible and just, all right, what's plan B? Like, let's move forward and, do what we got to do. There's a lot of that during that event, but I think consistently, like, you have moments of, because I'm walking around, like, I have a walkie-talkie on, as you saw in the picture, like, my phone's ringing, people are trying to talk to me, and I'm like, so it seriously is all such a blur over the course of those, whatever's like 10 days that you're on site. But I had moments of people like stopping me and just saying like this is the best event I've ever been to watching people watch our muralist paint and just know that like, hey, we did this, like we put on this event that's impacting our community. That's a moment that's when I got up on stage to take that picture, like could have cried, because I was just like, you see, I think there was almost 12,000 people in the crowd at that moment, and I was just like, holy crap. Like,
This is
we
happening,
did this.
right?
Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, just to see, and like I said, I'm such a lover of Jacksonville and like really have fallen in love with the city and everything that Jax has to offer in the last 2 years. I mean, I've always loved the city, but especially now that I'm getting to work with so many community partners and local artists and makers and restaurants and everybody. It's just the people that live here are incredible. So being on stage was a moment, but the weirdly enough was, obviously we're a social media company. So like it took us 6 days to load everything out of the park. And I got home and I hadn't even like begun to look at social media because I just solely did not have the time to like pick up my phone and do anything but like call people and figure stuff out. So I picked up my phone, I got in bed, and I started looking through all of our tagged like reels and posts and comments, and like actually started crying because I was just like, this is like hearing and seeing the feedback from the people that actually attended it, and know that like, because what we saw from like our staff and volunteers and stuff was just like, we were all like, this is a lot, like this is so much, and you're just go 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 go, and you're putting out fires the entire time, so you don't always get to see the glorious things that are happening. So on the other end, to sit down and be like, oh holy crap, like we actually did this, like that's then you're like, oh, I gotta start planning the next one. Like it's
The footprint that you and your team have created
Mhm.
is off the chain. I know Scott and I have gone to a couple events, and
Yeah.
I, speechless. I mean, you walk away and go, holy guacamole. They had every type of food you can imagine. People were happy and dancing and rocking and moving and doing. And you're like, what? I mean, like, seriously, just fantastic stuff.
That's my mom.
So share for everybody what your mom said.
That's what you said. You want me to share?
Yeah.
Wonderful art at the festival. The tequila wasn't bad either.
Hey, we love when moms support other daughters on here. We've had that more often than you would believe. You or the dads even get on here. So it's okay. She
had fun at the event. I remember at one moment I was like walking back to, so we had like 1,000-person silent disco at the event in the back of the area. And I walked by the mechanical bull and my mom is on the bull.
I love your mother. Shout out. Okay, I have a couple of questions for Brooke. So Brooke, you said you went from a 600 people event. Is that usually was the big events?
Then that was the big gala I did.
And like 16,000. Did you get like a staff with you or did your stress just boom? It's like that's a huge jump.
Yeah. So the first one that I did, excuse me. It was, so I left First Tee in July, and the very first event that I was going into was the Taco and Tequila Festival that was hosted at, so we did Met Park last year because of how big the previous year's was. It was held at Riverside Park, and we saw, I think, 22,000 people came through. And that event was September, no. I think it might have been the beginning of September. Anyways, it was like 8 weeks from the day I started to the beginning of that festival. So Charles is incredible. Like I said, so really it was me and him that planned, like, as far as like the nitty gritty details of everything. And then we have other staff that help like staff our bars. So David in the picture, he's like our Bev Ops manager. So he helps with like, all right, how much tequila are we ordering? How many bartenders do we need? How many bars are we going to have? What flavor margaritas are we going to serve? Which we're very involved in all of that. But truly, I would say at the core of that event, there was maybe 5 of us that did everything.
Were you overwhelmed though from going from that 600 level to like 22,000 you have an event for? Like, were you like, oh my god?
They were like, you got 600, you can go now do 22,000. It's like basically the same, just double it.
I will say like being fully honest, the first one was very intimidating for me because it was a lot of things that I had never dealt with before. So like I said, I had thrown like probably 65, 70 golf tournaments and then 10, 15 like charity galas, but I had never in my life dealt with porta potties, like that the park that we did it at initially.
A whole initial dynamic, right?
Bring in porta potties. You had to bring in, there was no power in the parks. We had to bring in power. We had to bring in like lifts, scissor lifts, forklifts, boom lifts, a stage, audio visual. I'm now dealing with like national headliners. So like these major artists who I've had never dealt with before. And it's just like when I started in the golf industry, I was like, I have to learn all of this to be able to like, it's a different language. They're talking about like backline. I was like, I don't know what backline is. I do now. It's equipment that the artists have to bring in so they can perform. And I mean, literally there's so many different things that I was just like, okay, like act like you know what you're doing. You got this. So if somebody said something I didn't know, I would go and like Google it and try to figure it out. Or I would just like ask or just say like, hey, like I am new to this and it's okay to be new to something. Like this is how you learn. Can you please tell me what that means? And now I'm like, all right, I got that. Like, this is good. And I'm still learning, like to this day, like there's always something new to learn in the event world and especially in the festival world. And every vendor that we work with has a different process and different contracts. And we had to, so the festival that we did in the first park versus the one we did last year, we had to get like building permits for our tents because they were over a certain amount of square feet. And then you have to work with the fire marshal to do emergency exits and they have to be a certain, and like just things that I never even would have, like when you attend an event and you're not in that world, like you don't think about any of those tiny little details that go into it. And so I had never thought about it before. And so, yeah, it was 100% a wake up call going from an indoor gala to an outdoor music festival.
And side note, Brooke is probably one of the biggest Jaguar fans ever. Like, girl, I mean, kind of the pre-party, before the party, before the game. Like, it's amazing. And talk about planning. Yeah. Oh no, that one.
So,
Okay,
Brooke,
sorry.
speaking of Jaguars and Outcasts, who are some famous people you've gotten to meet because you plan these big events that you're pretty excited about?
Yeah. So I met Swayze. I don't know if you guys know who he is. He has some pretty big songs. He was at the first Taco and Tequila Festival, Night Tales. I've hung out with them a couple times. They're really great artists, more in like the electronic world. And then at Taco Fest this past year, I actually hung out with Iration's band. They showed up on site at like 2:00 in the morning. I slept on site. Like I slept in the park for a week. And they showed up at 2:00 in the morning, and they had just flown in from California. And I was like, "Hey guys, you look lost." And they were there to meet somebody else, but you could tell they were just tired. And like, I happened to have some Coronas laying around, so like had a beer with them. I was like, "This is awesome," because I was like, "When am I ever gonna have this opportunity again?" So they were really cool. A lot of our team got to meet the guys from Gym Class Heroes and Lupe. I met Big Boy's DJ. And then at Oktoberfest, the picture of me on stage doing the prost, I got to meet and talk to for a while Nico Moon. He was really awesome. Like he stayed after his show for an hour, which like wasn't in his contract, and signed things for guests and took pictures with people in the crowd, and just like,
wow,
such a nice guy. So I'm like,
That's
he was
something new
really
that you had to do contracts then that you were probably not exposed to.
right.
Oh yeah, that's one of the most interesting pieces of all of it, is the things like, and you kind of hear it from
like the green room.
other people. The green
Right.
room stuff.
Yeah, the green room.
It's not a joke. Like
No,
the
it is
things
not.
that some of these artists ask for are
I
like,
was
I
just gonna
need
say, the
yogurt,
short list.
Dannon
Yeah.
yogurt, strawberry,
a big
strawberry
list.
Dannon yogurt, and I need 10 fresh towels that are this brand, and I need this type of tequila and these kind of flowers and this trail mix, but not with the red M&Ms in it, and just like wild.
Wonder what level that is when you get to that famous that you can be that picky to, they probably do that with the M&Ms. I mean, you have to make so much money to say, pick those M&Ms out of that trail.
Yeah.
Well, you're also the crazy thing is those type of people, you're also, sorry, my cat is trying to.
I was gonna say, I see your kitty, I see your baby. Of course, we're all animal lovers here, so you're good. Oh, what a cutie pie.
Yeah, you're also, I mean, paying them a lot of money to be there, and then on top of that have to go and do all these things. Now there is the opportunity usually to like buy them out, and you can just say, hey, we'll give you an extra $2,000 to not have to do that. But you also,
I'm not gonna pick your M&Ms out.
So yeah, right. You also want to represent your city well in your space too. Like I think like we always made sure that our artist space is really nice and like really well thought out, and like we have like RVs for all of the headliners, and we get people to commission like really nice flowers or whatever, have some sort of really neat gift. So like for Taco and Tequila Festival, we got Maestro Dobel was one of our title sponsors for the event, and we got their like really nice bottle of tequila, and like got Taco and Tequila Fest and their name like engraved in the bottle, and like put that in their green room. So like you definitely want to go above and beyond for them, because you want them to go back to the people in their industry and say like, I want to come play in Jacksonville again, because if they have a bad experience, like people talk and news travels fast, so we don't ever want to cause that to happen and not want people to come to Jax.
So you shared a picture, speaking of Jax, and so if you could talk us through a little bit about this. You talked about art and spaces and everything.
Yes. So this was the last piece of my like the gratitude moment in the festival. So what a lot of people don't know, and something that we're trying to be better about, is sharing the word of the Wagner Foundation. So like I said, 904 Happy Hour is our for-profit company that is digital news media outlets. And then through that, we have the Wagner Foundation. So all of the events that we run are actually 904 Happy Hour is not running them. It's the Wagner Foundation. So what we do is we usually have a charity that we pick, or a couple charities that we pick for each festival. And then at the end of the event, we give back all the money that was raised from the event. So back at Taco Tequila Fest last year, we gave back, or 2 years ago, it's 120 grand to local charities. I think it was 15 different charities. So we did like $30,000 to Boys and Girls Club, 30 grand to Make-A-Wish. Don't Miss a Beat is a charity that we love to support. We gave back to the Community Nutcracker, Fur Sisters. The ones coming up this year. So we actually have 5 festivals this year. We added 3 because we just love the madness. So we're going to do a brunch fest in April. We're going to do a Cinco de Mayo festival in May. We're going to do a barbecue fest in September. So I know we're going to do Boys and Girls Club is going to be added to the mix of charities. Hoping to work with the American Red Cross. So, I mean, the list goes on and on. We have so many charities that we love and support. But that is definitely, like, for me, like the most full, like, we give back to the First Tee. We're going to do an event with them this summer, which I'm really excited about.
Brooke, will you keep us posted on those? Oh, sorry. Will you keep us posted on those, Brooke?
Yeah, absolutely. I can send you the dates. Yeah.
We can post them. Brooke, do you guys ever work? We have a Tara, I don't know if you know this, Lily works at Dreams Come True. Do you guys ever work with them?
I haven't yet, but there's never a charity that I won't talk to.
It's funny because she reminds me a lot of you, because she was in like the title industry, but she was well known for planning events, and they snagged her to go over there and start planning events for there. And it's the scale is, she says, we went from here to huge right now. And that's why I was like, God, she reminds me of this whole little story. It's like, wow, but they do good things. So every one of your festivals, all the money made from the event, where's the money? The admissions, is that where it is? Or because
so a lot of it's alcohol sales. A lot of our festivals are alcohol.
Do you guys get donated then? Do you guys get the alcohol donated?
Parts of it. It just depends on what it is. So we do have companies that they'll like do some in kind, some's donated, some we have to pay for. A lot we have to pay for, but it's usually discounted in some ways. But that's where like sponsorships and community help comes in and helps us cover the cost of the event as much as possible. So that way, the more sponsors we get, the more money we're able to give back.
I think that is so cool what you guys are doing.
I agree. And I started getting chills. I started getting chills when you were saying that, because when big festivals like that do give back to the community, hello, I mean, that's what we want to focus on, right? I mean,
it's fun.
Big deal, big impact. Good.
Brooke, we need to go live with you when you're down there, and
you know what?
Before the event, before it gets going, we'll go live and invite people. The Latino, we had a guest on. That's what we did with her. Tara and I had interviewed her. It's the biggest Latino festival in St. Augustine. It's in Florida. Is it in Florida now? The biggest one now, Tara? She said, I think they hit a record.
Yeah, I can't remember.
It's a Latino festival with music just from Latinos, I guess. But she, literally the day of, I think, because it started that night, she was
out there.
Was it in Jax?
No, it's St. Augustine.
In St. Augustine. Okay, because I was gonna say there's one in Viva La Fiesta. Yaya, she's a good friend of mine, does a really great Latino festival or Latin American music, food, everything. Yeah, she's very talented.
It was fun because she did interview and she told us all the details, and several people they were like, oh, we saw that. We're gonna go tonight. We're gonna go tomorrow. So the next festival, if we can jump on with you, we will definitely post that, because I love that it does a cause in the community, especially 904. Now, is that all they do? Give us a big clip on the 904 real quick, because I know we're going to wrap it up. What is they do more than just festivals, 904, right?
Yes. So 904 Happy Hour was started, like I said, by Charles several years ago, as he really just couldn't find one place where you could go and like look at it like a community page where it's like, what is there going on this weekend? What are the best restaurants to go to? Local bars? Where is there happy hour? He's like, I don't know where to take my friends. So he started this website and would do photos at like local bars and stuff, and then drive people to come look at their pictures on 904 Happy Hour. That's how a lot of people know about us. But it is
that's
now
what I thought it was at first, was the picture. I'm so glad you brought that up. Okay, continue.
It's still a thing.
Yeah.
Like there's,
I didn't know that. Yeah, that's great.
Go on to 904happyhour.com, and there's hundreds and thousands at this point albums from like local community events that we send our photographers out to just take pictures, and then you can go back and look at your photos online. So that's really how it started. But now I think we're more well known for our Instagram. So we have over 300,000 followers between our Facebook and our Facebook and Instagram accounts. But we reach anywhere over 2 million like unique subscribers per month, or impressions, between the website, socials. But we share what there is to do in Jacksonville. So definitely encourage you to go follow 904 Happy Hour on Instagram or Facebook. And we are constantly posting. So like a lot of my clients are nonprofits. So I'm posting about what charity galas are happening this weekend.
Love it.
How can you support local charities? We'll post about grand openings, new restaurants, new coffee shops, bakeries that just opened, 5Ks that are happening. I mean, literally everything that's happening in Jax that we feel is, we only share happy and positive news. So that's where the happy hour comes in, because everyone thinks it's like, oh, it's not alcohol based. Like, we do like to have fun, but it's not just about that. It's truly about just spreading positivity in our city and making sure that people know how to support our community.
Brooke, that was
like that's awesome. I thought it was happy hour because I used to see all the pictures all the time, and I thought it was just happy hour events. But that's
kind of how it started. But yeah, it truly, my boss is very, very, very passionate about just like happy. Like, we will never share anything negative, and that's really like, I don't know of another news source where you don't see just positive stuff. It's all like, especially in today's world, like there's so much negativity out there. It's just like, we want to be like a bright light for people that are following us, and just spread the wealth of happiness.
So this is just funny. I have to, sorry, Tara, I know you're gonna wrap it up. When's the last time, Brooke, you played golf? Just curious.
Last week.
Oh, yeah.
I played so weirdly enough, when I was at First Tee for 7 years, I played, but it was just like charity scrambles and stuff. But usually I'm the one planning it, so I never really had the opportunity to go out and play. But now, like a lot of the events that we promote on 904, like we go out and play as a team. I take my sponsors out on course all the time. Like, it is by far the best networking tool that I've ever learned in my life. And
she's good. Just saying. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Actually,
you are that bright light for so many, the young kids that you taught and coached through First Tee, and now you're helping to coach kind of the adult big kids right on the other side of the platform, and making the impact in this community. Just thank you for being on today, and your bright light that you continue to ripple. We're just pumped for you and want to continue to learn and know more about some of the other big events that you're a part of and that your organization is doing. Awesome. So just thank you.
Of course. Thank you for having me on.
Well, Brooke, thank you so much. And thank you so much to everybody for joining us tonight. We had a great group with us, lots of viewers and lots of likes and loves for you. Our next interview is going to be on the 25th at 6:30 p.m. Are we ready to share yet who's going to be with us?
We do. We're not going to say the next one because we might have one popping in between.
A surprise.
Surprise. Yes.
You might get two in between there. So
my goodness. Well, next week's going to be a busy week, everybody. So keep an eye out for all these announcements. But again, Brooke, thank you so much. Yes, we can't wait for the next festival.
Brooke.
Yeah. April, here we come.